I had been home from deployment for less than 5 minutes when I realized the house no longer recognized me. The key stopped halfway inside the lock. I tried again. Nothing. For one irrational second, I thought 8 months overseas had made me forget how my own front door worked. Then I looked closer. The lock was new. So was the deadbolt. The doorbell camera had been removed, leaving 2 small holes in the brick. Even the mailbox looked wrong. The brass plate that once read Holloway family had been replaced. Only Michael's name remained. My daughter's name was gone. So was mine. I stood on the porch in uniform, one duffel bag at my feet and a small model airplane tucked beneath my arm. I had bought it for Emily in Poland. She loved anything that could fly. I had imagined placing it on her desk, watching her ask 100 questions, and pretending I was not exhausted while she told me everything I had missed. I had not given Michael my exact arrival time. I wanted to surprise her. Instead, I found 3 cardboard boxes stacked inside the open garage. My winter clothes. Books from my office. The framed photograph of Emily and me at her science fair. Someone had written Grace across the top box in black marker. I took out my phone and photographed everything. The lock. The missing camera. The mailbox. The boxes. The time on my screen. Then the front door opened. Diane Holloway stepped into the doorway. My mother-in-law did not look surprised to see me. She looked annoyed. "You were not supposed to arrive until tomorrow. Where is Emily?" Diane folded her arms. "You should call Michael. Where is my daughter?" "She is safe." That was not my question. I moved 1 step toward the doorway. Diane blocked it. "You cannot come inside. This is my house, not according to the papers." She held out a document. Temporary guardianship authorization. My name appeared at the bottom. So did my signature. I had never seen the document before. According to the date, I had signed it while stationed in Poland. The authorization gave Diane broad control over Emily's residence, school, medical care, and travel. My chest tightened. "Where is she?" Diane watched my face as if she were waiting for the moment I would break. Then she said, "She is with her real family." The sentence was meant to hurt. It succeeded, but I did not let her see how deeply. "Where is Michael?" "He and Emily left North Carolina." "For where?" "That is no longer your concern." I photographed the guardianship paper while it was still in her hand. Diane pulled it back. "If you cause a scene, I will call the police." She expected me to push past her, to shout, to beg for my child on the front porch while she recorded me. I did none of those things. I stepped away from the door. I photographed the new lock again. Then the boxes. Then the license plate on Diane's car. Only after every detail was preserved did I call Evelyn Shaw. Evelyn had represented several military families during custody disputes. She answered before the second ring. "I'm home," I said, "and Emily is gone." Her voice became immediately focused. "Do not touch the door." I looked at Diane standing behind the glass. "Why?" "Because if they changed the locks and prepared guardianship papers, they want you angry." I looked down at the false signature. "What do I do?" "First, tell me whether they have Emily's passport." I turned toward the garage. The fireproof document box we kept on the upper shelf was missing. "I think they do." Evelyn went quiet. Then she said, "Call the school, right now." Our neighbor Rosa Martinez crossed the street before I reached my car. She had been watching from her front window. "Grace." She hugged me quickly, then looked toward Diane's house. "I did not know when you were coming home." "What happened here?" Rosa took out her phone. 2 days ago, my doorbell camera recorded this. The video showed Michael carrying boxes from our house. Diane followed with 2 suitcases. Then Emily stepped through the front door. She was wearing her blue backpack. Her face was wet with tears. "Mom knows where we're going, right?" she asked. Diane placed one hand between Emily's shoulders. "Your mother chose where she belongs." Emily looked back toward the house. Michael hurried her toward the car. The video ended. I watched it twice. They had not simply moved Emily. They had prepared her to believe I had chosen to leave her. Rosa touched my arm. I asked Michael where they were going. "What did he say?" "That you had approved everything." I called Emily's school from Rosa's driveway. The principal checked the file and became cautious. "Mrs. Holloway, we received written notice that Emily was transferring." "When?" 6 days ago." "Who submitted it?" "Her father." The email included a document bearing my electronic signature. It stated that I consented to the transfer because my military obligations made local schooling impractical. The school record had been changed. Diane was now listed as Emily's primary guardian. My contact address had been removed. Where was the transfer sent? "I'm not seeing another school yet." Then why was she released? There was a guardianship authorization, the same false document Diane had shown me. Evelyn joined the call and instructed the school to preserve the original email, attachments, login records, and every alteration to Emily's profile. Then she asked whether Emily's student email account remained active. It did. I opened it from my phone. Most messages were ordinary school notices. One unread email had been sent to me 3 days earlier. The subject line said, "Are you coming?" The message contained one sentence. "Mom, Grandma says our trip is permanent. Is that what you promised?" I read it until the words blurred. Emily had tried to ask me directly. The message had never reached my personal inbox because Michael had changed the forwarding address on her account. Evelyn was already searching the guardianship records and travel documents. Several minutes later, she called back. Her voice had changed. "What did you find?" I asked. A replacement passport application was submitted for Emily. My hand tightened around the phone. "When?" 11 days ago. "Who signed it?" Michael filed the application using the guardianship document. "Where was the passport sent?" There was a pause. "To an address in South Carolina." "How long ago?" "It was delivered 3 days ago." I looked at the airplane model, still sitting on the passenger seat. Emily was not merely staying with relatives. Someone had prepared to take her farther. Much farther. Evelyn asked me to send her every document I had signed before deployment. I forwarded the old power of attorney first. It had been created years earlier, before a different assignment. Its purpose was narrow. Michael could pay household bills, manage utilities, and handle routine financial matters while I was away. He could not change Emily's school. He could not alter custody. He could not apply for a passport. And the document had expired long before my deployment to Poland. Evelyn sent the guardianship form and the old authorization to a document examiner. The result came back that evening. The signature on the new form was not merely similar to mine. It was identical. The same upward curve, the same pause between letters, the same tiny mark beneath the final stroke. A person does not sign 2 documents with every microscopic detail in the same place. Michael had copied my signature from the old power of attorney. The electronic file made the deception even clearer. Metadata showed the guardianship document had been created on Michael's laptop while I was in Poland. The original author field carried his company email address. The signature image had been inserted less than 6 minutes before the file was converted into a final document. "He did not misunderstand your authority," Evelyn said. "He manufactured it." Then we looked at the money. Michael's transportation company was in worse condition than I knew. It owed more than $280,000. 2 lenders had issued default notices. Payroll had been delayed. Several company vehicles were already tied to secured loans. Michael had begun using our personal accounts to keep the business alive. Money had moved from savings and smaller transfers that were easy to miss during deployment. He had also requested a new appraisal of our home. A draft home equity application was waiting in an online folder. My car had been listed for private sale. The listing described it as available because the owner had relocated overseas. That owner was me. Michael was building a financial story in which I had chosen to leave. If the guardianship document survived long enough, he could argue that Emily had remained with him by agreement. If he controlled Emily, he could strengthen his position in the divorce. If he kept the house, he could borrow against it. If I appeared to have abandoned both the property and my daughter, every later protest could be framed as regret rather than fraud. Then Evelyn found the travel records. 3 one-way tickets had been purchased. Michael Holloway, Emily Holloway, Lauren Price. The destination was San Jose, Costa Rica. The flight departed from Miami in 4 days. I knew Lauren's name. She had worked with Michael's company as a travel coordinator. He had once told me she handled international clients. Now her name appeared beside my daughter's on a one-way itinerary. The truth was larger than Diane changing locks, larger than Michael removing Emily from school. They were not planning to keep my daughter with relatives until a custody hearing. They were preparing to move her outside the United States before I could restore the legal position they had altered while I was deployed. Evelyn closed the travel file. "This is no longer only a family dispute." She looked at the forged guardianship form. They used false documents to prepare to take a child across an international border. From that moment, every step became urgent. Rosa exported the original doorbell footage instead of sending a compressed copy. The school preserved the transfer email, the attached guardianship form, login records, and every change made to Emily's student profile. The retired notary, whose seal appeared on one of the documents, confirmed she had never met me and had not witnessed my signature. The military legal office provided certified copies of the old power of attorney and its expiration date. Evelyn sent formal preservation notices to the banks. No account history, loan application, device record, or transfer log could be deleted without creating another problem for Michael. A passport alert was placed through the appropriate legal process. The airline received notice that Emily's travel status was disputed and subject to an emergency court application. Evelyn contacted the agencies responsible for reviewing the passport documents and international travel risk. I did not call Michael. I did not warn Diane. If they knew how much we had found, they might change hotels, move the flight, destroy phones, or pressure Emily again. Instead, I built the timeline. The guardianship document had been created the day after I confirmed my deployment would end. The passport application followed 2 days later. Emily was removed from school less than a week before my return. My belongings were boxed after Michael received my final travel itinerary. The tickets to Costa Rica were purchased the same evening. Every action followed information I had given Michael in good faith. He had not simply acted while I was gone. He had scheduled each step around the moment he knew I would come home. Then Evelyn found the recording Michael intended to use as proof of consent. During one of our video calls from Poland, I had said, "You may need to make decisions without me." Michael had saved that sentence as a separate audio file. On its own, it sounded broad, almost like permission, but I had recorded many of our family calls so Emily could replay them when she missed me. The full version was still inside my personal cloud archive. My complete sentence was, "You may need to make daily decisions without me, but nothing about Emily's school, home, or travel changes without both of us." Michael had removed the part that limited his authority. Evelyn listened to the full recording twice. He did not just forge your signature. He edited your voice until concern sounded like consent. The first unexpected break came from Lauren. She contacted Evelyn after receiving notice that her name appeared on disputed travel documents. Lauren asked for a private call. She said Michael had told her our marriage was already over. According to him, I had agreed Emily would remain with him because I wanted to continue my military career without family responsibilities. He showed me a signed document, Lauren said. It said Grace gave him custody. It was forged, Evelyn replied. Lauren went quiet. Michael had also told her the Costa Rica trip was lawful. He said they would stay with her relatives while the divorce was finalized. He promised to marry her after selling the North Carolina house. Lauren forwarded every message. In one, Michael wrote, "Grace does not want Emily. She wants the army." Another said, "Once we land, she can fight from overseas if she wants." Lauren had believed she was joining a divorced father beginning a legal new life. Now she understood Michael needed her family connection, language skills, and destination address. He had planned to use her as part of the exit route. Lauren gave Evelyn the hotel reservation in South Carolina and the original Miami flight details. With the forged guardianship form, the passport application, the international tickets, Emily's email, Rosa's video, and Lauren's messages, Evelyn requested emergency relief. She asked the court to preserve the existing custody status, to prevent Emily from leaving the country, to require surrender of every passport and travel document, to preserve all electronic evidence, and to order Emily return to the proper jurisdiction while the custody case was reviewed. The emergency order was approved late that evening. I read it in Evelyn's office with both hands flat against the table. For the first time since returning home, there was a legal document carrying my name that I had actually authorized. Evelyn immediately arranged for the order to be served and enforced through the appropriate authorities. Then her phone rang. She listened without interrupting. When the call ended, she looked at me. "What happened?" "Michael checked out of the South Carolina address this morning." "And Emily?" "She is not there." My chest tightened. "Where did they go?" "We do not know yet." The court had acted. The passport alert was active. The order existed. But Michael had already moved my daughter again. The first mistake came from Diane. She posted a photograph to a private family group. The image showed Michael, Emily, and Diane sitting beside a swimming pool. Diane had written, "Together at last." She deleted the post within minutes. But one of Michael's cousins had already saved it. The cousin sent it to Rosa. Rosa forwarded it to me. At first, the photograph seemed ordinary. Then Evelyn enlarged the background. Behind Diane's shoulder was a white sign with the edge of a Blue Wave logo. Below it, only part of a name was visible. Palms Resort. Evelyn searched hotels along the route between South Carolina and Miami. There were several with similar names. Then Lauren called. "I know where that is," she said. Michael had mentioned the hotel while discussing the flight. It was a resort north of Miami International Airport. Lauren gave Evelyn the reservation name and confirmation number. The rooms had been booked with Michael's company card. They were scheduled to check out before sunrise. The flight to Costa Rica departed the following morning. Every part of me wanted to get into a car and drive south. I wanted to reach Emily before anyone else. Evelyn stopped me. If Michael sees you, he may run again. That is my daughter. And the safest way to reach her is through the order you already have. She sent the confirmed hotel location, reservation details, vehicle information, and travel itinerary to the appropriate authorities. I remained in her office. It was the hardest order I had ever followed. I had spent years making decisions under pressure, but nothing in the army had prepared me to sit still while strangers went to recover my child. The order was enforced before Michael reached the airport. He had checked out of the hotel with Emily, Diane, and Robert shortly before dawn. Their vehicle was stopped while still near the resort. Emily's new passport was found inside Diane's handbag. Michael carried copies of the false guardianship form. Robert had Emily's birth certificate and the one-way tickets. The passports and travel papers were seized under the emergency order. Emily was taken to a safe location with a child protection specialist. Michael demanded that she remain with him. He claimed I had approved the entire arrangement. No one accepted his word as proof. I was not allowed to rush into the room immediately. Emily was examined first. She was given food, clean clothes, and time to calm down. A specialist explained that she was safe and that I was nearby. Only after Emily asked for me did the door open. She was sitting on a sofa with the blue backpack she had carried from home. The moment she saw me, she stood. For 1 second, neither of us moved. Then she ran into my arms. I dropped to my knees and held her. She felt smaller than I remembered. "Mom? I'm here." Her hands tightened around my uniform. "Did you know where I was?" "No." The answer hurt her. I saw it immediately, so I held her face between my hands. But I never stopped looking. Her eyes filled. "Grandma said you knew." She was wrong. "Dad said you signed papers." "I did not." "Did you choose the army instead of me?" "No." I pulled her against me again. "I served. I never chose to stop being your mother." Emily began to cry. This time, no one told her what the tears meant. No one gave her a sentence to repeat. She cried until the fear had somewhere to go. Michael continued insisting that every document was valid. He told the responding officials that I had signed the guardianship form during a video call from Poland. He claimed the signature file had been sent with my permission. He said the international trip was temporary. Evelyn listened without correcting him. Later, I asked why. "Because he keeps choosing the same lie," she said. "And now he has repeated it after receiving notice that the documents are disputed. What happens next?" We let him say it under oath. Emily remained in protected temporary care with me while the emergency hearing was scheduled. Only after she was safe did Evelyn and I return to Diane's house. The new lock was still on the door. My boxes still sat inside the garage. Diane opened the door with Robert standing behind her. She looked past us as if expecting Emily. "Where is she?" "Safe," Evelyn said. Diane's mouth tightened. "You humiliated this family." I did not respond. "You involved strangers." Still, I said nothing. "She belongs with her real family." That was the same sentence she had used when I first returned. This time, Evelyn stepped forward. She placed the emergency order on the table beside the door. "This order requires you to surrender every passport, travel document, guardianship record, computer, and phone connected to Emily's removal." Diane stared at the first page. "You cannot take our property. You are required to preserve it." Evelyn placed a second notice beside the first. "You may not contact Emily privately. You may not discuss the case with her. You may not destroy, alter, conceal, or transfer any relevant record." Robert read the paragraph twice. "What does this mean about travel?" "You are not to leave the jurisdiction while the court reviews your role." Diane turned toward me. "You came back with lawyers and orders against your own family." I finally spoke. "You thought I came home to beg for my daughter." I looked at the changed lock, the boxes, the false guardianship form still lying on the table. "I came home to prove you never had the right to take her." The emergency hearing began the following morning. Michael testified that I had approved temporary guardianship during a video call. According to him, I sent my signature voluntarily. He claimed I knew about the school transfer. He said the trip to Costa Rica was intended to give Emily stability while I adjusted after deployment. Evelyn began with the guardianship document. "Where was Major Holloway when she signed this?" "In Poland." "Did you watch her sign it?" "She signed electronically." "Did she send you the signature image?" "Yes." "During which call?" Michael gave the date. Evelyn placed the file metadata on the screen. The guardianship form had been created on Michael's laptop. The signature had been copied from the expired power of attorney. The file history showed no document arriving from Poland. Evelyn displayed the two signatures side by side. They were identical down to the smallest mark. Then she played the audio Michael had submitted. "You may need to make decisions without me." Michael nodded. That was her permission. Evelyn played the full recording. My voice continued. But nothing about Emily's school, home, or travel changes without both of us. Michael's face tightened. Evelyn introduced Emily's email. "Mom, Grandma says our trip is permanent. Is that what you promised?" Then came Lauren's message. "Grace does not want Emily. Once we land, she can fight from overseas if she wants." The 3 one-way tickets appeared next. So did the passport application, the altered school record, the doorbell video, and the documents found near Miami. Michael's attorney tried to describe everything as a misunderstanding between spouses. Evelyn asked one final question. "Did Major Holloway ever tell you that you could remove Emily from school, change her residence, obtain a new passport, or take her out of the United States?" Michael looked toward Diane, then toward his attorney. "No," he said. The courtroom became silent. With that answer, he confirmed the truth himself. He knew I had not agreed. He had used the false paperwork anyway. The judge leaned forward. "You have described this as a plan to protect your daughter." Michael said nothing. The judge's voice remained calm. Then why could the plan succeed only if her mother never knew it existed? The judge reviewed the evidence for several minutes before speaking. "Emily Holloway will remain in Major Holloway's care while the full custody matter proceeds." Michael's attorney began writing immediately. "Mr. Holloway may have contact with the child only under supervised conditions. Diane and Robert Holloway may not contact Emily privately, discuss this case with her, or participate in any travel decision involving the child." The judge turned to the property records. "The current status of the marital home will be preserved. No party may sell, refinance, transfer, or place an additional lien on the residence without court approval. The disputed guardianship document and expired power of attorney may not be used for any custodial, educational, financial, or travel purpose. All passports, passport applications, travel records, and supporting identification documents must be surrendered. The evidence involving the copied signature, false passport materials, altered school records, and sworn statements was referred for further review." Michael was also ordered to pay most of the legal expenses created by the emergency proceedings. Then the judge looked directly at him. "Military deployment is not abandonment. A power of attorney allowing one parent to care for a household during a service member's absence is not permission to erase that service member from the family." Outside the courtroom, Michael stepped toward me. "You made Emily lose her entire family." I looked at him. "No. You made her believe family meant people could take her away without telling her the truth." 3 months later, I was still serving at Fort Liberty. Emily lived with me and attended counseling with someone experienced in family separation and military households. I never asked her to choose between us. I taught her only that no one was allowed to use love as a reason to hide where she was being taken. The locks were changed again. This time, I had the keys. Grace and Emily returned to the mailbox. The boxes in the garage were opened. I placed the small airplane from Poland on Emily's desk. One evening, she touched its wing. "Mom, are you going away again?" "Sometimes I will have to serve." She looked down. I took her hand. "But I will never leave without telling you where I am going, when I am coming home, and who is allowed to make decisions for you." They believed my absence was an empty space they could enter. They were wrong. Serving my country had never meant abandoning my daughter. I did not return with a plea. I returned with the truth, a lawyer, and an order they could not forge.